This line stretches all the way down here, but here's the new wrinkle. Step outside with me real quick. You kind of have to see this one to believe it. This is actually still the TSA pre-check line. This line now wraps outside. So if you think about it, it wraps around the inside 4 different times, then comes outside and wraps around 2 other times to get all these passengers through.
Was you able to talk at all about any of the work you're doing here today?
No.
Any immigration enforcement? Any plans to kill a U.S. citizen today? That's good.
It's been 3 hours and we're still on this line. So the rumors are true. You gotta come at least 4 or 5 hours.
ICE is being absolutely fucking useless. Who could have predicted this? Hello, ladies, men, and non-binary friends. Welcome back. Yes, America continues to take inspiration from the countries they told us to be afraid of when we were growing up. By sending our president's personal hit squad to occupy our country's busiest airports. Not helping anyone, mind you, more like meandering around like awkward teens at a middle school dance. What else would we have expected from them? But there's a little bit more to this situation than I've seen people talking about, so let's get into it. But first, a word from our sponsor. With the world on fire, it's important to take care of yourself, and I am nothing if not a fervent advocate for relaxation and self-care, especially after a long day of work and doom scrolling. For me, this involves turning my phone off and turning something else on. I'm so excited to be partnering with Bellesa to give you a free rose toy with your order. Click the link in the description to participate. I've been a fan of Bellesa for a long time. They actually even sent me a toy that I already have. I will be giving it to one of my friends, but I just wanted to let you know I'm not fucking around here. I really like this company. So let me introduce you to some of my faves. These are my ladies. The first is the Rose that delivers powerful suction with its 10 different modes. The Rose suction vibe fits nicely in the palm of your hand to provide you with complete control over your pleasure. Next up is the Thump. It suctions, it vibrates, and it thumps. It is designed to replace the other external vibes that you own. And just look how cute these little charging cases are. Like, come on. Finally is the Air Vibe. And this thing is probably my favorite. It is dual stimulation, it's waterproof, it's rechargeable, and it is practically silent, and comes in a super discreet case. Bellesa is a woman-owned company that promotes sexual wellness through education, empowerment, and fun, because we are all deserving of pleasure. Click the link in my description to participate in this giveaway. This is the best kind of sponsorship because everybody gets something. It's seriously a no-brainer. So go get yours today. Thank you, Bellesa. So why is this happening? Well, this is all due to an ongoing partial government shutdown that started on February 14th of this year. At the time of filming this shutdown will have gone on for 40 days. And this entire shutdown means that there's no funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which means technically no pay for ICE agents, although they are still being funded through the big beautiful bill, FEMA employees, Coast Guard members, and of course, TSA agents. In total, more than 260,000 federal workers are currently without pay. And understandably, many of these TSA agents who who aren't receiving a paycheck anymore aren't showing up to work anymore. More than 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and can't afford to live without money. And the officials at TSA have said as much. As the partial government shutdown enters day 40, airports across the United States are facing hours-long lines with wait times that are now the longest in TSA history. The acting TSA administrator says many officers are struggling to support their families. Some are sleeping in their cars, selling their blood and plasma, and taking on second jobs to make ends meet. It comes as the transportation secretary warns things could get worse. And I know what most of you are thinking. Yes, another government shutdown. Trump setting another record. Are we great yet? This is after the longest government shutdown in history, which lasted 43 days, occurred between October 1st to November 12th of 2025. And this has also surpassed the longest partial government shutdown, which lasted 35 days, which was also, funny enough, during the Trump administration. December 22nd, 2018 to January 25th, 2019. Which was centered around the US-Mexico border wall dispute. Remember that one? Oh, way back. Well, at least it's not that. But on a serious note, we have billions to spend on a pointless war. We have billions to spend on our government using AI. We have billions to spend on everything except the things that will actually help everyday Americans, like healthcare, staffing, and education. No, instead, we are more focused on funding the most out-of-shape, weak-minded, uneducated Nazi pigs, perhaps in all of American history. Anyways, that's a rant for another day. And even though the Dems have tried to get these bills passed that will allow TSA agents to get paid, Republicans have shot down every single issue bill related to this shutdown. Because inconveniencing everyday Americans is the only bargaining chip that these Republicans have in order to avoid reform policies related to ICE, which is one of the main things that's causing this partial government shutdown that's holding up the rest of these bills, is that the Dems want to push ICE reform and the Republicans want nothing to do with it. And once TSA gets paid, most of the public will not care anymore because they will not be inconvenienced. So sad to say that out loud. So the Republicans' current plan is to just kind of keep going, I guess, until they get their way and until Congress can agree to fund DHS without them making any concessions, basically. Like I said, there have been many bills that have been put forth by Democrats to exclusively fund TSA while they figure the other shit out, shot down by Republicans. They even created a bill to fund everything in DHS except ICE, so they could discuss the details on ICE while everything else could continue, shot down by Republicans. Also, ICE is still, technically funded by the big, beautiful bill, so as far as I can see, this is the Republicans throwing a tantrum, stamping their foot because they're not getting their way, and people are pissed at them because it's their fault, and because they are now being inconvenienced by this. These Republicans will, of course, continue to blame the Dems and avoid all accountability because that's what they do. The other reason why this is dragging is because Trump keeps trying to push through the SAVE Act.
The Democrats have offered to open up everything but ICE. Ted and I said, okay, let's accept their offer. And then at the same time, we would offer a bill for reconciliation where we don't need any Democratic votes to do whatever we wanted to do with ICE. And that way we're out of the shutdown and DHS is back open. We submitted that, Senator Cthulhu submitted that to President Trump, as is his right. He said no deals with the Democrats. It would have worked. We could have had TSA paid by the end of the week, but the president said no deal.
Now, I talked briefly about the SAVE Act in one of my previous videos and how this is legislation that has me worried. It should have you worried too, because it is essentially just voter suppression. It is imposing a poll tax. It is keeping people from being able to vote and creating more and more barriers to exercise our right to vote, which is allegedly what democracy is all about. And there are even Republicans that are kind of pissed about this and Republicans that are against the SAVE Act, but Trump is very dedicated to pushing this awful legislation through. Now, as things have gotten worse and worse, he has started to sort of backpedal, but I don't really take anything that man says at face value, so this situation is ever evolving. This is just what we know right now. And also, I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to bat for these establishment Dems because they have a whole bunch of problems. I've talked about them on my page here, but this whole circus that has come out of this situation is not one of those things. So literally, I filmed and edited this entire video and we have another update and I'm bringing it here to you guys. That's why you subscribe, because even when I'm completely done, if something new comes out, you know I gotta add it in the video because that's my sworn duty as part of the Happy Pancake Lounge. You get the most recent, the most up-to-date intel from me. Last night, the US Senate reached a deal to end the 40-day shutdown, but just today, the House of Representatives rejected it. And now Congress is about to take a 2-week break, which means that this is going to go on for another 2 weeks minimum. Now, the reason why they chose to shoot down this bill is as follows. House Speaker Mike Johnson said the lower chamber would vote, quote, as soon as possible on its own plan to fund the Department of Homeland Security after the Senate approved legislation to fund most of the department, including TSA, faced major hurdles in the House. Just for context, this was another one of these bills that basically funded everybody else, but kept ICE out of it because the Dems want ICE reform, and also did not include any of the shit from the SAVE Act. So this was literally funding everybody else. So all of the people that are still working that are not getting paid, TSA, FEMA, like all of these groups was just going to keep funding these employees while the other shit was going to get debated on. But that, again, was not good enough because these House Republicans are little babies throwing a little fucking tantrum. The House Republicans' plan would extend funding for the entire department, including ICE, at current levels for 60 days. But if passed, that would punt the issue back to the Senate, which has left for a 2-week recess. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said it would be, quote, dead on arrival. In a voice vote in the middle of the night, the Senate approved a bill that excludes funding for ICE and parts of Customs and Border Protection. Senate Democrats did not secure most of the reforms to federal immigration enforcement that they demanded, but hailed the Senate-approved measure as a win. Because of course they fucking did, because they're spineless pieces of shit. He also signed an executive order to fund TSA, which is just solving the problem he and his party created, by the way. And this also does not fund any of the other agencies that are currently going unpaid right now due to this partial shutdown. I don't know if he did this just to be like the hero. I don't know if he did this because he wants to get back in the American people's good graces, but he kind of just like gave away the Republicans' last like real bargaining chip. So yeah, I don't know. He's fucking old and senile and an idiot, but I guess I'm glad that the TSA agents are getting paid now. We'll see how this goes. As we all expected, and as many of you have probably seen, this has led to a bit of a situation in America's airports. Let's add in the president's personal hit squad, the ones that have murdered US citizens, into the mix. That just add them in. That will surely make things run smoothly. Great idea. And it's gotten so bad that many Americans have actually canceled their trips to avoid the hassle. People have missed flights because the lines have been too long, and this has gotten the airports directly involved. Delta Airlines has suspended special perks for Congress because of the fallout from the DHS shutdown. Why did Congress have those perks in the first place? I don't know, but anything that makes our current elected officials' lives just a little bit harder is a-okay with me. I love that. More, please. Quote, due to the impact on resources from the long-standing government shutdown, Delta will temporarily suspend specialty services to members of Congress flying Delta. Next to safety, Delta's #1 priority is taking care of our people and customers, which has become increasingly difficult in this current environment. Delta has traditionally given VIP service to congressional members, allowing them to skip TSA lines and escorting them to their gates. Now, members of Congress will be told that they are going to be treated like other passengers based on their respective SkyMiles status. Additionally, Delta was suspending its, quote, special congressional desk service for lawmakers until the government shutdown ends. So what is ICE actually doing when they're not torturing and killing people and breaking up families in Minnesota? Well, as it turns out, fucking nothing. Fuck all. Fuckerino. Zilch. Nada. Don't say that too loud or ICE might come for you. We're paying ICE agents to be fucking useless. Meanwhile, the people who actually have a useful job are going without pay. And some of them are still working. Some of them are still showing up to work. And the reason why they're doing nothing, other than them being useless fucks, is probably because their leadership can't even decide on what they should do.
We're simply there to help TSA do their job in areas that don't need their specialized expertise, such as, screening through the X-ray machine. Not training that, we won't do that.
Do they have any, practical, experience in manning airport security lines?
They run those same type of security machines at the southern border, right? Packages come through or people come through, they run similar assets.
Donald Trump made a brilliant move this week, and he called me and says, let's send ICE to the airport. I thought it was a smart move. And we're filling the holes. The wait lines are already dropped. Plus, we're doing a security function at the airports. We're going to arrest criminals going through this airport. We're going to look for human trafficking, sex trafficking, money, money smuggling. We're going to be at the airports working with our brothers and sisters of TSA. They're our brothers and sisters within DHS. President Trump made a smart move. We're going to keep the airplanes flying. We're going to keep the airplanes flying.
So while we're here, let's talk about what ICE shouldn't be doing. What ICE isn't trained to do at airports. ICE members are not typically trained to conduct core TSA tasks, including aviation safety, baggage screening, pat-down, or operating x-rays. It takes 4 to 6 months to train TSA agents, and every screening duty has different certifications that require annual recertifications, according to a TSA union call. TSA screeners go through weeks and months of specific, quote, on-the-job training around security screenings that ICE officers don't have. Much of that training, experts say, is to detect explosives and weapons and identify threats that are designed to avoid detection at airport screenings, a task ICE isn't trained to do. Now, according to the DHS, ICE agents are trained for a grand total of 8 weeks, 2 months. They had to change it to weeks to make it sound more official, but that's 2 months, meaning TSA agents receive 2 to 3 times more training than them. From duration alone, ICE agents are not qualified to be in the same space as them, period. That much has been made clear by their lack of any actual tangible help. But that hasn't stopped DHS from trying to use this opportunity to recover ICE's image. I don't know if you saw that video of them handing out water. Oh my God. 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 I read this. I saw this video and I fucking laughed. I laughed out loud because who fucking cares? Who fucking cares, bro? What the fuck is ICE agents handing out water doing to make the lines at TSA shorter? Everybody's gonna have to dump out those water bottles when they get to security anyway. If anything, this is just a waste. This is an environmental concern. They're not volunteers at the New York City Marathon. Like, what the fuck is this? This is the stupidest, most nothing contribution that I could ever think of. And this is so clearly their attempt at like PR. That's how you really know that ICE is useless. Like, even when they have control over the narrative, even when they have all the money, they have all the funding, they have all the support from the top, when they are shoveling propaganda in our faces, this is the best they can come up with? Are we serious? Jesus Christ. Oh. Wow. Now, while ICE isn't helping with the TSA lines, they are still finding time in their day to harass people of color and detaining them in airports.
What's your name? Show the badge. Where's a badge?
Where's your bag?
Can someone call 911? Okay. Where's your badge? Can I see? Let me see your badge. Okay. No, can I see your badge? I don't know if that's legitimate. Can I see your badge number, sir? What is your name? What is your name? Where's your badge number?
It's okay. We'll wait.
I need to see your badge number.
Step back.
I don't know who you are. You could be someone kidnapping her.
Okay, we should call the police. Call the police.
And this is apparently something that TSA actually helped with. Why the fuck are you taking their side, TSA? You can't even get paid. They're getting your paycheck. You fucking idiots. What's the deal? I truly cannot imagine being so subservient to an overlord. Like, I just can't. This was at the San Francisco airport, and the mayor, Daniel Lurie, posted a statement on X that was disappointing. Like many San Franciscans, I found the incident at SFO last night upsetting. I have spoken to leaders at SFO and SFPD, and we believe this is an isolated incident. Why? Why do you believe that? What fairy tale did someone tell you to make you believe that this is going to be an isolated incident? That this is going to be a one-time only incident? All of this is new. You have absolutely no evidence to believe that ICE will stop foaming at the mouth while in the presence of someone with a fucking accent. In fact, if we're looking at evidence, everything says the contrary. Because if you start putting forth rules that say, oh, well, you know what? We can have ICE in our airports. They just can't do XYZ. They're not going to follow those fucking rules. Our vice president said that they have fucking immunity to killing someone, to murder, okay? They're not gonna listen to you. You are living in a fucking fairy tale. You are delusional, my guy. Like, are we seriously this fucking naive? He goes on to say that we have no reason to believe there is a broader federal immigration enforcement at SFO. Again, why do you have no reason to believe that? What in the world has caused you to believe that? Please don't tell me that it's just what these officers are saying, just taking them at their word, because that's fucking insane to believe them at this point. In the year of 2026, that's fucking insane. One of the state senators actually had some balls. Funny enough, his name is Scott Wiener, so if anyone's gonna have balls, it's probably gonna be this guy. Came out and stated that ICE is not welcome in San Francisco or at San Francisco International Airport. Again, literally the bare minimum at this point. We don't need ICE or Border Patrol or any of these other thugs in our city and in our airport. They're not welcome here and they need to stay the hell out. Live. Love that. He also expressed skepticism about DHS's statement, saying he takes statements from the administration with a huge grain of salt. Finally, someone with a fucking brain. An unintended perk of all this, however small, is that the ICE agents' faces are not being covered in airports. At first, I was assuming it was because they had to keep their faces uncovered for, like, security purposes at the airport. Like, you know how you have to uncover your face at security so they can, like, verify your ID? But no, the only reason that they're doing this and that this is happening is because Trump told them to.
So ICE has done very well. I've requested, now, you know, I'm a big believer that they should be able to wear masks when they go and hunt down, you know, murderers, criminals, and others. But for purposes of the airport, I've requested that they take off the mask. I don't like it for the airport. And I believe they are willing to do that.
Why do they not wear masks, not at the airport, but they need to do it when they're out in the country?
Because the people coming into the airport, typically speaking, aren't murderers, killers, drug dealers, etc. There may be a few of them, but there aren't many. They're people that want to come into the country or that people want to leave the country, going to maybe their home country. So I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport.
How silly of me to think that ICE would have to adhere to the same circumstances as common folk. But again, this to me is a positive. So we will take it as such. You're not trapped here with them, they're trapped here with you. Film the shit out of them. Photo and film. I truly have no idea why Trump did this. I included the clip to show what he said, but I don't believe a single thing that comes out of that man's mouth, and you shouldn't either. The only reason I can think is that he's looking for more fall guys and scapegoats for when this regime fails. We are getting closer and closer to those midterms, and I think they are all very nervous for what will happen once they lose the majority. I literally predicted that this would happen with Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi. The entire reason why they put these women in very visible positions was so they could pin these crimes on them while protecting their little boys club. These women are not victims, make no mistake, but that is why a notoriously misogynistic administration has these women in very prominent positions, so they can be the ones taking the blame. I imagine a similar thing is being done with these ICE agents right now, especially now that the general public's perception of ICE is so fucking low. The majority of Americans have absolutely turned on ICE and Trump's immigration plan in general, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was using this as an opportunity for the public to catalog ICE agents for eventual prosecution. It would allow the public to satisfy their bloodlust while keeping even more sinister players out of the line of fire. ICE agents are, after all, boots on the ground. They're the ones who are literally killing, raping, and torturing people. They should be the ones prosecuted, and making them show their faces is one of those barriers eliminated. Once this is all over, the people in power will be able to protect themselves. They have money, they have power, they have networks and connections. All these ICE agents have is the taste of boot in their fucking mouth. And if the rest of the Trump administration flees to another country or fakes their death, that anger that the American public has will need to be satiated. And I imagine this will be done through prosecuting ICE agents. But that's just my theory on all of this. That's what I think, because this seemed super out of left field, did not make sense to me. So that is my reasoning behind it. According to local troll living under bridge Steve Bannon, this is also a test run for ICE being placed at polling stations for the midterms.
We can use what's happening with these ICE helping out at the airports. We can use this as a test run, as a test case to really perfect ICE's involvement in the 2026 midterm elections, sir?
So yeah, I know it's funny to joke about how like the ICE agents aren't doing fuck all and we can have a little ha-ha hee-hee about it, but I don't want that to become too normalized because this is an intimidation tactic. It is designed to get you accustomed to the idea of constant military presence and surveillance. Do not normalize this. This is fucking crazy. Even if someone was supporting like everything that ICE is doing, you're a fucking idiot. But even if they were, this is not about immigrants. This is not even about people of color. This is about asserting power over the population and trying to scare them and intimidate them into submission. So what can we do? Well, the best thing that we can do is be loud and say that we don't want this. Continue to take pictures. Film these ICE agents if you're at the airport. Make them uncomfortable, especially if you're a white US citizen. Use your power and your privilege. What we don't want is for this to get normalized, where we are now living under military occupation. Also, reminder, ICE is still in Minnesota. Yes, Minnesotans have continued protesting and taking a stand against ICE, but just as a reminder, to people outside of Minnesota, ICE is still there. What I don't want is for this to permeate throughout the remaining aspects of American life. We want ICE out. Keep pushing this sentiment. Push this with the people that are entering Democratic primaries, especially Democrats that are up for election in the 2026 midterms. Abolish ICE. They are useless. They are evil. They are violent. We don't need them. We don't want them. Get them out. This is the bare fucking minimum. And this is exactly what we should be demanding of people who are running for office. As always, I have her one's GoFundMe linked below. She was supposed to attend university this year, but Israel bombed her home and her school out of existence. If you'd like to donate, but you don't have the funds, you can always watch my D&D campaign, Westerly Academy, where all the ad revenue goes directly to Palestinian families. So by literally watching D&D, you are helping the people of Palestine. Make sure to check out my sponsor in the description below. And if you'd like to support me directly, you can always subscribe to my Patreon if you want to be a real sweetheart. As always, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye. Very special thank you to Bagel's dad, Derek, Anonymous, Tiny Axes, and Robin Fellows.